and welcome to Whisky Whims with me, Stuart. Today I'm going to be going up to Daftmill Distillery and having a little look around. So I was heading up to do the Daftmill Distillery tour. I took my phone to take a couple of pictures and also to do a recorded interview with Francis at the end of the tour. As that's something I wanted to share with you all, just a couple of questions that I thought would be interesting for you. I didn't do a normal distillery video tour that you see on YouTube where I record the tour guide throughout the full process as he describes it, because I kind of wanted to take it all in on a personal level, and I thought this would be easier to do without having a camera and trying to focus on things. So I'm going to show some pictures and try and explain them as best as I can, and then at the end of the interview, at the end of the video, there's going to be an interview with Francis. If you want a more in-depth video after you've watched mine, of course, you can check out Ralphie's video. It's 3 parts and it's a lot more extensive in the way that things are explained. Also, if you like this video, please do hit the like button and also subscribe. It means a lot, it really does. Heading up to the farm, just a typical farm road. You wouldn't even think there was a distillery there, you'd think it's just a farm. It was a sunny, really sunny day, and I stopped to take a little video of all the barley flowing in the little breeze that there was. Today on the tour, it was my birthday, and I didn't let this be known to Francis or anything like that, but it was just a kind of little birthday treat to myself, managing to get on this tour, and I was fairly chuffed with that. It was a great experience, and I'm very grateful to Francis for letting me take part in the tour, especially when he was in the middle of, well, he was in full production when I got there. It was a bit manic, but we still managed to get round the tour, and they managed to cover everything that I wanted to see. Some of the buildings you see here are over 300 years old, and some are relatively newer. I believe where the still houses are, they're probably the newest buildings there on the estate. And I think these were built around 2003 to 2005, because I think 2005 is when Francis got the HMRC license to start distilling whiskey. And Daftmill, they decided to go for local tradesmen and local craftsmen to build many of the structures, which is very considerate of them, and it just goes to show you their attitude towards life. Well, yeah, towards life really. To use local tradesmen and craftsmen is always a good thing. So we began in the malt store, and they've recently just got some new equipment here. Now, they don't do any of their own maltings. This gets sent to, I think it's Alloa, where they're guaranteed to get their own barley back, their own product back, and then they continue the process from Daftmill Distillery. They grow all the barley on the farm, and there was a lot of it. Must be their the main produce. They used to send some of their barley to other whisky distilleries, and these were distilleries such as Glendronach, Glenlivet, and also Macallan. Francis said though he was finding that in the time when he was selling this barley, he wasn't making a lot of money from just selling it to the distilleries, so he decided to try and make a little bit more money from it, and that came in the form of doing the distillation and making whiskey, which was a great idea because at the time the economy was kind of down, and I don't think whiskey was doing very well. After the malt store, we moved on to the mash house. This place was in full flow. It was very warm, there was things bubbling, there was things purring away, machines or pumps, and Francis let me have a little look in the mash tun itself, which was also quite full. But luckily, Francis had an aid in hand in a kind of sort of apprentice or a kind of training program. This guy was gaining experience through the summer, and he was a lucky bugger for that. It's something that I'd really like to do or see myself doing. I did ask Francis if he was thinking about taking the guy on at the end of it, However, Francis said there wasn't any available positions, as I believe Francis does the full thing, or the full process himself. Other than the maltings and the bottling, Francis pretty much runs the show single-handedly. We then moved to the still house, where there were 2 stills, all made from persoal of Rothes, copper workers up there, and they do a lot of other works. I think they do stuff with oil and gas as well offshore, and a lot of whiskey, obviously. Now, Francis did tell me the capacities of the stills. However, I'm not going to relay that information because Ralphie pretty much covered it in his videos, and I don't want to be seen repeating pretty much what Ralphie said. So I wanted to add my own kind of twist onto it. The spirit safe itself was beautiful. It was rather modern compared to safes that I've previously seen. And once again, in Ralphie's video, he compared it to Springbank's. Now, I was recently at Springbank, so I'll show you a picture of Springbank's safe and also Daftmill's safe, and you'll see how modern it is in comparison. With Springbank's safe, I think it dates back to something like the 1700s or something, they said. I can't remember exactly, but they said it was hard to trace because it was that old, so they couldn't actually pinprint a kind of timestamp on it. I asked Francis how he managed to learn the process from barley to whiskey, or malt to whiskey. And he basically explained that once he started seeing the construction of the distillery, from the malt store to the mash house to the condensers to all that, into the stills, he said once he kind of saw that all come together, it was pretty easy to pick up what you had to do, what temperatures things had to be at. So better him than me anyway, because I don't think I would have been able to pick it up as easily. But he's obviously picked it up and he's creating some beautiful whiskey. The next stop, in fact actually before the next stop, Francis did allow me a little sniff into the intermediate spirit receiver, where the spirit sits before it kind of goes into the casks. And this did smell amazing. Really nice smelling. Fruity, tropical fruits, very fresh. I think it's exactly what he's aiming for in his product and his whiskey. He wants those kind of low fruity esters, the early, the flavours you get from early distillation. So the next stop was the filling house, where the spirit comes through and it gets pumped into the casks by hand for maturation. In there he has a set of scales just to tell him what the cask is before it's full, and then he can weigh it again after it's full, and he can determine how many litres are in there and what percentages. Francis then led us to the dunnage warehouse, where there was a lot of casks, too many to count definitely, some from 2008 or 2006 still in there, some from 2014 I believe. The last part of the tour was my favourite part, and this was where I got to actually sit down with Francis on a kind of more one-to-one. The tour itself was one-to-one, but mainly he was describing the process, which was great. But the one-to-one sit down when I got to ask him some questions, and over a 2006 summer release whiskey was definitely my favourite part. That whiskey was absolutely outstanding, and he did send me home with the 2006 winter release to try that as well. So I'll hopefully share that with someone at some point, because it is the whiskey is almost unicorn in a sense. It's hard to come by, and the summer was the first Daftmill I tried, and it was beautiful. So on to the interview, and I just asked Francis a couple questions that I thought you guys would find interesting, and also the kind of questions that I was curious about, that I kind of wanted answered to see what his thoughts were. Hi there, and welcome to Whisky Wins, a special kind of event. Just been on a tour of Daftmill Distillery in Cooper with Francis here. He showed us about, and he's allowed us to do a little interview, a few questions of the distillery and the process. So, what was the motivation to start Whisky, besides doing all the farm part of it?
The motivation to start doing whisky, well, it was several things. We always liked whisky, we were passionate about whisky, but when we started, the whisky industry was in a bit of doldrums, and the price of malt and barley was extremely low, and we had this crazy idea that we could add value to our malt and barley by processing it ourselves into whisky, similar to what farmers had done 200 years previously.
Were there any hiccups or barriers that you had to overcome with getting the HMRC licence?
HMRC, not really. They wanted, first thing they wanted to know was what our VAT number, and from that they knew our trading history, we pay our taxes on time and stuff, so we're reasonably honest, upright people, so that wasn't a big problem. Actually figuring it all out was probably the, what goes where and what does what, took probably a lot longer. Customs and excise were good, not a problem.
A lot of the building you done, well, a lot of the works that went on was local trades.
Yes.
What was the kind of thought process behind that?
Well, we'd used local guys for other jobs previously. We knew their work. We knew they did good quality work, and and it's nice to actually use local people for a job like this. And the skills were all there.
The process itself, how much of the full process do you yourselves do in the distillery?
The full process, well, we grow the barley, but we don't have a maltings here. So I need to send the barley away to get it malted. So I store it on farm, then send it through the maltings. They malt it for us and guarantee us that we're getting our own grain back. It's not mixed with anyone else's grain in the maltings. Then we mill it ourselves, we mash it, we distill it, we put it in casks, we mature it, then we send the casks away to get them malted.
And the last question is, or maybe not a question, but more of an opinion, is your view on the flippers that are kind of flooding the market at the moment.
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem when the secondary market is so strong and demand for it is so high that people who want to open and drink a bottle can't get hold of it, because we've tried various methods, ballots and what have you, but there is we haven't found a solution that definitely puts the bottles in the hands of the drinkers rather than the second. And the thing is, the harder you make it for the flippers, the less bottles are coming onto the auction sites, the more the demand for them is, the higher the value. So that makes it more attractive.
Cash flow too.
So if everyone flooded the market with bottles, the price would crash, everyone would lose money on it, and there wouldn't be any demand from the secondary market.
Has it made you yourself want to put up the prices at all of the whisky?
Well, that's the obvious solution, isn't it? You jack the price up and that cuts demand. But it's already quite expensive whisky, so I wouldn't mind to do that.
Alright, well that's pretty much all I've got to ask. It's short and sweet.
No problem.
Don't want to take too much of your time up.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, so thanks for having us round.
Right, cheers.
And I've enjoyed my time so much.
Right, thank you.
Once again, I'd like to thank Francis for taking the time out of his busy schedule to show me around Daftmill Distillery. Primarily, Francis is a farmer, and the whisky distillery comes second to this. So, as he was in kind of full swing of the distillery and still managed to take me around, I'm extremely grateful and quite honestly impressed that he managed to do it. Because as we were going around, he was kind of tinkering and tampering with things here and there, just little things just to check. So that was good to see it in full motion. If you've enjoyed the video, please do subscribe and do give it a like. Leave me a comment if you've got any feedback. I'm always open to hear what you've got to say, and I really do hope this video gave you a little insight into Daftmill, a kind of different angle on things from the usual distillery tour video. I will be doing a Springbank distillery tour video, but once again that'll be a kind of similar layout to this one. I didn't want to video the full thing, I'll go around with a camera the entire time, because I thought that would be a little almost intrusive, and I kind of wanted to take things in for myself. Another thing I've got to say before I go is I'll be doing a live video on Sunday with last drop reviews, and I believe there will be 2 other special guests there. So if you want to go check that out on Sunday, just follow me on Instagram or Facebook, the details will be on there, and also subscribe to the last drop reviews to get updates from him. So thanks for watching, I've been Stuart, this has been Whisky Whims, I'll see you later.